Take a look at the opening lines in college football, where the line is now, and the biggest line move so far heading into week number 1. We start off on Saturday, August 26th, with Navy Notre Dame opened up 20. Right now we're sitting at 20.5. Notre Dame the favorite on a neutral field. UTEP Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State opened up 2.5. UTEP's now the 2.5-point favorite. UTEP 5-point line move so far. New Mexico State opened 9.5. All the early money's on Massachusetts, down to 7.5. Ohio and San Diego State's pretty much steady at 3. San Diego State the favorite at home, minus the 3. Vandy opened 18, down to 17 against Hawaii. USC is 30.5 was the opening, down to 30. A little bit of money on San Jose State early. And Louisiana Tech opened 9. A lot of money on Louisiana Tech at home over Florida International. That game's up to 11. We move to Thursday, August the 31st. Central Florida 33.5 up to 37. Big move on Central Florida early. 4-point line move over Kent State at home. Kent State lost everybody, and they were horrible as it is last year. Their defense is really bad. Everyone scored on them on every possession. NC State, Connecticut. NC State opened 16, down to 15 at UConn. UConn was impressive last year, especially ATS. Nebraska and Minnesota. Minnesota opened 7, holding at 7 against Nebraska. Utah opened 8 over Florida. The total's been bet down from 48.5 to 45.5 now. Let's move to Friday, September 1st. Miami of Florida opened 17.5 over Miami of Ohio. That's down to 17. Michigan State opened 15 over Central Michigan. It's pretty much 15, 14.5 all across the board. Louisville opened 7.5 at Georgia Tech. It's up to 8. And Hawaii, Stanford opened 10 at Hawaii. Big money on Hawaii so far. All the early money down to 7, 6.5 in some spots. Let's move to Saturday, September 2nd. Michigan opened 36, pretty much holding steady at 36 against East Carolina. Liberty opened 12 over Bowling Green at home. Pretty much the same, 12, 12.5. Oklahoma opened up a 32-point favorite over Arkansas State. That's up 3 points to 35. Purdue opened 6 over Fresno. All the early money on Fresno State and the under. That's down to 4. The total's down from 52.5 to 50.5. Boston College opened up 11 at home against Northern Illinois. A lot of money early on Northern Illinois. It's down to 9, 9.5. Kentucky, 26.5-point favorite at home over Ball State. Pretty much the same, 26 across the board. Iowa opened 23 over Utah State. That's up to 23.5. TCU opened up a 19.5-point favorite over Colorado. That's up 1 point to 20.5. Virginia and Tennessee played a neutral site. Tennessee opened up a four-touchdown favorite, 28. Sitting at 28 across the board. SMU 17, it's up to 18.5 over Louisiana Tech. Akron, Temple opened 11, down to 10.5. Indiana, Ohio State opens 27. It's up to 28.5 over that threshold of 4 touchdowns at 28.5. Buffalo, Wisconsin opened 24. Big move early on Wisconsin, up to 27.5. Washington opened a 15-point favorite against Boise. That's down a half point to 14.5. Massachusetts, Auburn, 40. I think the line is 39 right now, pretty much the same. Western Kentucky opened a 14-point favorite over South Florida. All the early money on South Florida. That's down from 14 to 11.5. Texas opened up 34, up to 35 over Rice. North Texas getting a lot of play over Cal. Opened up as a 10-point dog. They're now 7.5 at home against Cal. USC opened 38. That's steady, 38 over Nevada. Baylor opened 25, up a little bit to 26 over Texas State. Washington State, Colorado State, that was one of our plays, down from 14.5 to 12. Texas A&M 38 over New Mexico, pretty much holding steady at 38. Houston, UTSA opened up a 2.5-point favorite at Houston. It's down to a pick'em. Army opened 7 over UL Monroe. That's up a half to 7.5. North Carolina, South Carolina, that's a neutral game. North Carolina opened up 3, down to 2.5 against South Carolina. Illinois opened up 11 over Toledo. A lot of early money on Toledo. They're down to 8.5 in some spots. Wyoming and Texas Tech. Texas Tech opened up a 13-point favorite at Wyoming. They're up to 2 touchdowns, minus 14. Bama opened up a 38.5-point favorite over Middle Tennessee State. pretty much hanging there at 39. West Virginia, Penn State opened 20. It's up a half point to 20.5. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion. Virginia Tech getting a lot of play early. Opened 13.5 up to 15.5 at home against Old Dominion. Tulane opened up 7, pretty much 7 across the board against South Alabama. Sam Houston at BYU. BYU opened 23.5 down to 22.5. And Coastal Carolina opened up a 16-point dog at UCLA down to 15, 14.5 in some spots. Sunday college football, September 3rd. Rutgers opened 7 across the board the whole way against Northwestern. Oregon State opened 17 at San Jose, pretty much 17 everywhere. LSU, Florida State. LSU opened 3 down to 2.5 against Florida State. That's a neutral game. And then Monday, September 4th, Duke, Clemson. Clemson opened up 13, hasn't moved whatsoever, and the total's 56.